Hello and welcome to round 12 here in Prague. We have Pascal Viren, we have Toro Severin, and we're going to get some Ultimate Masters draft ready to go. Both of these players are at 2 wins in their pod, and so I'm pretty keen to see how it plays out and who's going to be our lone 12 and 0 player. Turn 1 Fume Spitter from Torolf, turn to Fauna Shaman from Pascal. Whoa!
That is a great start for Pascal, because Fauna Shaman, this is one of those decks where Fauna Shaman really shines. When you discard cards like Vengevine or Anger that actually provide bonuses or can return when they are in the graveyard. He also has Basking Rootwalla in his deck, which you can discard and then cast for Madness. Fauna Shaman is one of the key centerpieces of all the synergies in Pascal's deck.
Yeah, I think he's going to discard a Vengevine here.
Great start.
Yeah, and going to look for a Satyr Wayfinder, I assume.
Yep. Could be. So now if Pascal plays 2 creature spells in the same turn, that Vengevine, a 4/3 haste, will return from the graveyard. For free, you don't even have to invest any additional mana into it.
Yeah, plus he has already a Groundskeeper in his hand, which is like a 1-mana creature. So it's very easy to trigger the Vengevine because you only need 1 more creature. And Pascal certainly has quite a few of those. This Satyr Wayfinder is going to help dig him for lands because I don't think he has red mana just yet. So he's hoping to mill away a mountain here and put it in his hands. Kudoran's Reach, Verdant Eidolon, Satyr Rift. Oh, no lands.
No lands.
Wow, that's rough.
Yeah.
There's a spider spawning though.
And the probability of that happening is relatively low, might be around 10-ish percent. At least, a Verdant Eidolon and a spider spawning into the graveyard, along with, the creatures to feed the spider spawning. It's not the worst, but yeah, he was hoping for a land here.
Yeah. There's a Moan of the Unhallowed from Torolf, so it's going to create two zombies. No, those are spiders. Those are reserved for Pascal. So we're going to have to... There we go, 2 zombies. The good thing for Pascal is he draws the mountain naturally. Good thing for him is that even if he didn't find land, he could again discard a creature and find another Satyr Wayfinder.
Sure.
And keep digging for land. So he's in decent shape. Now he can actually discard the Anger and possibly do some crazy stuff with that. But he's tapping 3 mana, so I assume we're going to see a Hissing Iguanar. Yeah, there it is.
Yep.
And a Groundskeeper. And returning Vengevine. That's a good attacker and a very good blocker as well.
Not a bad turn at all.
In draft. Turn 4 in draft.
Yeah, just add 4 power to the board.
Yeah, here's my 5 creatures. And
this is an aggressive attack, though. The obvious block for Torolf is just to jump it and then deal with the Hissing Iguanar. And now suddenly the coast is clear for Torolf to attack.
Yeah, should have taken 1 though, right? From the triggered ability from Hissing Iguanar, because the Fume Spitter died.
Yeah, Pascal maybe forgot.
Yeah.
Pascal isn't really thinking about all this incidental damage. When he's winning, he's attacking with 18 spider tokens, and then it doesn't really matter.
All right, so a Spark Spitter for Torolf. Again, not the greatest card here, and Pascal's just going to keep milking the Fauna Shaman. This card's Anger, so all his creatures have haste. You can look for Firewing Phoenix, maybe Mad Prophet. He also has the Basking Rootwalla if he wants to go for a little bit of value.
Yeah, I like that. You still want to have a creature left over to discard to the Fauna Shaman later. And, Basking Rootwalla is one of the better ones, since you can cast it for free.
Yep. There's the Rootwalla. Next turn, of course, Pascal is able to discard the Rootwalla, put into play with the Madness cost and still find a creature. So, doubling the value you get.
I'm still a bit puzzled by the attack by Vengevine on the previous turn. Because, maybe keeping it as a blocker might have been better.
But now, there's a Wickerbow Elder. It has haste thanks to Anger in the graveyard. Pascal does have a mountain as well. Now leaving the Vengevine back to block. See if Torolf can maybe use his Spark Spitter to some use, because maybe he has some Madness cards. No, just a Thermo Alchemist and a mountain. Not much going on Torolf's side of the board.
No, he also doesn't have that many Madness cards in his deck in the first place. So even though Spark Spitter can now discard the cards to create a 3/1 token that will die at the end of the turn, if you're not discarding Madness spells to it, you're not really generating much value. And in this matchup, Pascal's deck is easily the one with the better late game. So Torolf has to win somewhat quickly. Otherwise, in a couple turns from now, we'll see an army of spiders show up.
Yeah, Pascal has plenty of options here. He could found a shaman, discarding the root while searching for another wayfinder, maybe milling several lands and return them to his hand with the groundskeeper. I mean, he's at a safe light level, has plenty of good, decent creatures to block. Plus, remember, he has the Wickerbow Elder as well that can blow up the prismatic lens.
Yeah, that's definitely a key interaction. It means that Torolf cannot just easily double block the Elder with 2 zombie tokens. The Elder can grow into a 4/4 at will. Now the flashback cost on spider spawning, that's 6 colorless and a black. So Pascal still needs 1 land plus an additional swamp.
Good catch, Altamani. He did mill the second wayfinder, so he can't really look for it. Good catch. I did miss that. He has plenty of other options to go with. I also saw still a Mad Prophet in his deck. So there's the root wall being madnessed out. What's he gonna find here? He's gonna go for Eternal Witness, of course.
And then you can get back to Satyr Wayfinder and get there after all. This deck is one big complicated puzzle, but there are roads towards everything.
Right. All right. So he found the Eternal Witness. Gonna play the mountain, play the witness, return, spider spawning.
I guess that also works.
Yeah, that works fine.
So there's currently, I think, 4 creatures in the graveyard.
Yep, correct.
So it would create 4 1/2 spiders with reach.
Yeah, but Torolf doesn't have much going on here. Just play another land, and he's already on the end of some beatdowns from Pascal with his 4 power creatures. Plus the Ritual now also is a credible threat. Remember, everything has haste as well.
Yep.
So he can now actually could have created spiders and started attacking with all of them. Okay, there's a Spark Spitter activation. Discarding yet another land from Torolf. That creates a 3/1 Spark Elemental. Alright, so the Root Wall is going to get pumped. Take out one of the zombies. The Vengeful is going to die. Root Wall is going to die. And a clearer board emerges out of the rubble. But here comes the spider spawning. Pascal very certain didn't mind that his creatures died this turn. And if he draws a black source, soon he'll be able to start flashing the bat. He could also draw one of his 2 other copies of spider spawning.
If he draws a black source, it's over. Even then, it might already be over on the next turn. Torolf does have Moan of the Unhallowed in the graveyard, so if he has a 7th land, he can flash it back. But then he would have 5 blockers, whereas Pascal has, let's see, 11 creatures total. So that's not even going to be enough. It would be lethal even with those extra blockers.
Yeah, so game 1 to Pascal Viren, and you might have seen it's a time walk match, so to speak. The players have been playing. We're a couple of minutes ahead, just to give us a little bit more time at the end of the round until we set up the drafts for you, which I'm sure you're keen to see because those are at least one of my favorite parts of the day. So now we're just doing some technical magic so that we can cure game. Plus we can get rid of the shuffling, which is also really nice because no one likes shuffling, right?
Well, not to watch it so much. I do enjoy shuffling cards. You know, I do have like a stack of cards on my desk, and then every time I'm working or watching something, I'm like randomly shuffling cards.
Yeah.
It's just something you get used to. There's no practical use to it, but when it comes to watching someone shuffle, not so much.
Yeah, right. So we're going to see some more games of Pascal and Torolf, but I'm not too keen on what Torolf was working with there. It just seems like his deck lines up extremely poorly against the spider spawnings.
Yeah, it didn't really seem to come together. Torolf didn't really seem to have a good way in the late game to compete. Maybe unless he finds like Hissing Iguana or Magma to fling a bunch of direct damage, but otherwise it's going to be hard to get past all those spiders.
Right, so we do have the standings ready for you to show you, just to see who's doing well in the tournament. We talked about Torolf 7 and Pascal Viren. They're both 11-0. The players who already picked up 1 loss from the 1-0 you might recognize Arne Huschenbett, Mark Tobias, Marcus Angelin picking up 2 wins in his pod after losing the last round yesterday. We also have Kazutaka Naide, who we saw in the first pod. Maybe Sebastian Thaler. Look at that. We actually featured him in round 1 yesterday because he had no buys. Now he's at 10-1. Very impressive.
Lots of big names from the past of Magic coming out for this Ultimate Masters event.
And then a couple of other players who might be your countrymen you might never heard of. I do know in 20 plays Philip Bialakshel, a local lad, and I'm happy he's doing well at 10-1. So yeah, this tournament is packed, and there's a bunch more people at really good records as well. This room is packed with pro points and lots of GP top 8s and more, of course. So there we're going to get to game 2 between Pascal Viren and Toralf Severin. Toralf is on the play here. Starts off with a Swamp, not much more, and Pascal straight on the board with a Merservitor. He sideboard again.
Came in from the sideboard once more. Yeah, he has 3 copies in his sideboard. What it does is at the beginning of your upkeep, you may return any number of creatures named Merservitor from the graveyard to the battlefield. So you need one on the battlefield, but then it brings back all the friends from the graveyard.
Yeah, it looks like Pascal maybe decided that his post-sideboard setup is better served to have some servitors. Just because, I mean, they're not great, but against decks that don't really have flyers, they're actually pretty decent and like eternally chump blocking.
And also against decks with some 1 toughness creatures, like for example,
you can't find any on
young,
the fly.
Young Pyromancer, I guess.
Molten, those tokens like Molten Rebirth.
They do trade quite favorably.
Right, so there's the Rutwala attack. Boards are filling up now. Toralf struggling a little bit with mana here, using the Prismatic Lens to get red. And look at that double hissing Iguanar. That's a huge problem from Toralf.
Yeah, suddenly it's not the spider spawning deck anymore. It's a red-green beatdown.
No third land for Toralf again there. And looks like Pascal is now going into overdrive.
Yeah, draw is just not really coming together for Toffel. You might know him as a member of the Arena Boys.
Indeed.
Popular series on channelfireball.com. But yeah, that is not going to help him much over here. Taking a bunch of damage, also multiple hissing Iguanar triggers.
Yeah.
Toralf really needs to draw a land to get back into this game.
And then Eternal Witness bring back the Iguanar. Toralf can ping with the Thermo Alchemist, but that's... I mean, pings again, and now has at least the Moan of the Unhowled. He did find a third Swamp there.
Now that can stabilize.
It can help stabilize, yeah, definitely. And Pascal's draw actually hasn't been that great. He's stuck on 4 lands, and I know he has a Vengeful Rebirth in his hand. He also has a Walker of the Grove, so not the best setup. He could really use something like a Seder Wayfind. I also think he has Anger. That's another hasty threat, and looks like... No, I thought he would tap everything, but of course, you don't want to attack with the Rutwala when you don't have mana untapped. So.
And also the Iguanar is too valuable to just trade for a 2/2 zombie.
Yeah, now he's going to... Toralf is going to take 2 more damage.
Yeah, he doesn't really want that anger in the graveyard.
It's going to be. This is going to be a kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Because once 2 Iguanars on the table, you're either just chump blocking without killing anything, or creatures are dying and you're taking damage. Pascal Viren just crushing, and he doesn't even need the spider spawning.
Looks like Toralf has another Moan of the Unhallowed in hand, so we might be seeing mono zombie control, I guess. So there's at least one option that would allow Toralf to, stabilize. But at this point, without an answer to the hissing Iguanar, I wouldn't even be surprised to see this game come down to 7 hissing Iguanar triggers that take it down for Pascal.
So there's the Iguanar and Anger and Basking Ritual hit the red zone. And what are you going to do, Toralf? Yeah, so creatures are going to die. So the Rutwala is going to get pumped up to 3/3, kills 1 zombie, and then Toralf takes 4.
Yeah, that's 4 hissing Iguanar triggers in total, because 2 creatures die, 2 triggers each. At least the Anger is being held off by the O3. That's like the perfect card.
Yeah.
It blocks and then nothing goes to the graveyard, but Toralf needs a removal spell for one of the Iguanars at least. Otherwise, he's not going to survive the next attack.
Even then, you kill one of the Iguanars, and it says another creature, right? So, but it still takes 1 damage to 1 damage from the other one triggers.
Yep.
So yeah, just as whenever another creature dies. Toralf found a mountain, is up to 5 mana here. I know he has 2 Unholy, or maybe even 3 Unholy Hungers in his deck. So he can certainly kill something, but...
And he does have spell mastery with double moan in the graveyard, so that might actually work, right? Kill one of the iguanas, go up to 5 life with the spell mastery from Unholy Hunger. You take 1 down to 4 from the trigger, and then block.
Yeah, and there's the handshake. Toro Severin, knowing that he can do nothing about that. And not only was this deck, I felt, poorly matched in this particular matchup, he just didn't draw the right cards to even have a fighting chance.
He missed a land drop this game, and Pascal drew like the aggressive part of his deck. We didn't even need any spiders to take this one down.
So let's have a look again at the 3-0 deck from the first pod. Thank you for our director for putting this up, because it is a masterpiece.
Oh, yes.
And the games were also quite good. Like he might have even won 6-0 in games. I'm not sure how he played. I think against Arnie he also won 2-0.
I don't remember him losing, indeed.
Yeah, exactly. So there you have it. A wonderful deck. Started off with a pick 1 spider spawning, then Vengeful Rebirth, Faithless Looting early, and it all came together using Fauna Shaman, using Vengevine, all those little tiny interaction with a huge power level boost. So it was wonderful to see, and Pascal Viren a very worthy 12. No, so probably just 1 win away from the top 8 again.
And he doesn't stop losing.
No.
Once he's on a roll, he keeps winning. He also went 10-0 in standard at the last Pro Tour with the Izzet Phoenix deck. Pascal Viren, one of the hottest players in Europe right now when you look at win-loss records.
I mean, in Warsaw he was in the top 8 of a limited GP as well, so he's firmly been on fire. What a great 2018 he's had. He's continuing his form into 2019. We got some messages for you, but after that we'll be back with more Magic. Hello and welcome back. I'm Matej, this is Frank, and we got more magic ready for you from Pod 1 Ultimate Masters Draft. I mean, we watched a few drafts before. We know how some of these decks turn out, but we haven't watched 8 drafts, so it's always a little bit of surprise when we see what the players have brought to the table from the ones we didn't cover. From the pod, we already have a deck list to show you. Let's pull it right away. It's Mark Tobias. We watched his draft. Green-White Heroic started with Sovereigns of Lost Alara, didn't quite come together, but in the end looks like an okay deck.
Indeed. It is just a typical example of a Green-White Heroic deck where the main plan is to load up one creature with a bunch of auras, preferably a heroic creature that gets even bigger from having being targeted, or alternatively a Skyspear Cavalry with double strike. Just put a Boar Umbra on there, Mammoth Umbra, pump it with Becomament, and you're just winning in one swing. Even though he indeed started out with a blue card, he went for the consistent mana, and his mana curve ultimately worked out nicely enough.
Right, he's going to be playing against Ignacio Garcia, who's also at this spot. He's playing Black-Red Seismic Assault.
Wait,
okay.
What is this?
So yeah,
14 mountains?
14 mountains.
That's 20 lands total?
Yeah,
okay.
Double Seismic Assault. He has a double Soulfire alongside something like the Firewing Phoenixes, the Ghoul Steeds, and so on. So it's kind of like a burn you out sort of plan. This is crazy, and I think Ignacio Garcia is 0-2 in his pod, and the pairings worked out a little bit different. So he hasn't been doing much winning with his list, and it's certainly pretty crazy. But if you disregard the Seismic Assault, it's like a very slow black-red deck.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Let's start analyzing it like that. Suppose you take out the Seismic Assaults. You have a black-red deck that is probably not going to do much or affect the board before turn 4. It's just overloading on 5-drop creatures, as well as like multiple Soulfire that are good but won't really help you stave off some beatdown early game. So that doesn't look good. Then you get to the 2 Seismic Assaults combined with 20 lands.
Yep.
Now
20 lands, ladies and gentlemen, 20.
I like Seismic Assault in this format when you can combine it with Life from the Loam or Groundskeeper as a combo. When it is just, a 3-mana card whose only function is to turn excess lands into shocks, I don't think it's even all that good. And triple red is tough. I guess with 14 mountains, okay, the math checks out. You can cast it consistently, but still, this deck is quite something.
We'll see how it plays out. But let me tell you this way: I've only played 20 lands when I was always extremely short on playables.
Yes.
And I need to fill out my lands. So 20 lands, 20 spells it is. At least you're never going to get mana screwed. Let's see how it actually plays out when we watch Mark Tobias against Ignacio Garcia. There you see Mark Tobias in 10-1. Ignacio Garcia had 8-2-1. He was the only player who didn't have a perfect record at the top table. He went 8 wins and a draw, and now picked up 2 losses. He has a Fadeless Looting. That's quite good if you're playing 20 lands.
Just look at his hand. It's just mono lands.
Yeah, well, Mark Tobias, if he creates a very big creature with an Umbra, I think Ignacio will have a very tough time dealing with it.
Yes. But although if Ignacio can get the Seismic Assault down in time to shoot down the creatures before they're enchanted.
Well, not anymore, because he played a Swamp, flashes back the Fadeless Looting. He's probably going to discard 2 more lands, as you do.
and still, even after drawing 4 extra cards, I don't think he actually has something to affect the board on turn 4.
I mean, yes. All right, the Wandering Champion attacks, a Rono Unicorn comes down. Now Ignacio Garcia, Cathodian, okay,
that's something.
He also has Soulfire, Magma, so certainly now's the time to get on the board, and we'll see if Mark Tobias will be able to punish the slow draw from Ignacio Garcia.
No, but that Cathodian was a very important draw, because if Ignacio had just passed without doing anything on turn 4, he was just falling too far behind, even if he would have powerful 5-drops as follow-ups. At least now he is staving off the beat down. He has a reasonable blocker. He was able to spend his mana this turn, and he is looking at decent follow-ups on the next turn. Yeah,
the thing about this deck, like if you play a turn 3 Seismic Assault, like sometimes it actually can be really good if your opponent's playing small creatures. Like we know that Mark Tobias is running like 3 Skyspear Cavalries, The problem for Ignacio is that Mark Tobias is playing 2 Wickerbow Elders. He also has the Ronom Unicorn. Plus, he has, I think, a 3rd Wickerbow Elder in the sideboard. So the Seismic Soul is unlikely to affect the game. And there's a Ronom Unicorn with the Boar Umbra on it now. So a 5/5 swinging in towards Ignacio. And he just has to take it here.
Yep. A bit surprised that the 3/1 is not attacking into Cathodian. I would have imagined that would be a good trade. But yeah, here Ignacio can deploy more 4/4s, then at least he can line up a double block against the Ronom Unicorn, or maybe start attacking, but...
We'll see if Mark Tobias, we know he has God's Willing. He has plenty of other auras to put on the Ronom Unicorn, so even something like a Hyena Umbra is going to make the situation very complicated for Garcia.
Now the thing is, if Garcia draws, say, Seismic Assault on the next turn, and he has 1 land in hand, sure, you can turn it into 2 damage, which is fine, but it's not like a super overpowered card. It's like 3 mana, deal 2 damage, and well, if I draw some other lands sometime later, I can also turn those into damage. That's fine. Is it really worth building your deck around?
Ooh, Repel the Darkness.
And that explains why Mark wasn't attacking on the previous turn. You don't want to be trading with Cathodian when you can now get in 4 additional damage guaranteed.
Yeah, that's a swing for 8 there, and also a drawing card for Mark. Maybe he can deploy one more thing, a Hero of Lena Tower maybe? Oh no, he has Prey Upon post-combat to kill the Ghoulsteed. And that's going to make possibly attacking next turn easier for Mark Tobias there. Another Soulfire, I think.
Yeah, that is not going to be great, but the Magma should help him stabilize at least. 4/4 for 5.
Stabilize, I think, also another very ambitious thing to say against a 5/5 with Totem Armor. His board, it looks like he might just try to shoot it twice with the removal spell. Yeah, pass the turn.
That is a plan, I guess.
Okay, there's a Wickerbow Elder.
Well, that Cathodian is not living. Better use those Soul's Fires while you still can.
And it's like wait. He'll probably respond to the Wickerbow Elder just being cast, I believe. Yeah, he's now explaining like it's on the stack.
Yep.
I'll do something now. All right, so Soul's Fire on the Ronom Unicorn, and another Soul's Fire again on the Unicorn. So that's just going to make the Boar Umbra fall off.
Yep.
But then the Elder is going to resolve, and he's going to kill the Cathodian and swing for 5. So it didn't really do anything here. And yeah, Mark Tobias is going to swing for lethal.
Yep.
And yep, that's it. Mark Tobias winning that one, and we're going to straight to game 2 with the wonders of Time Walk Magic available to us. We can skip all the shuffling. Now Ignacio has a Chainer's Edict, has a Last Gasp, so he can certainly hold them for longer. Where are all his lands? He only has 3 total.
He'll surely draw them.
He started drawing them.
He's
here.
playing 20 for a reason. Now, this game, Ignacio will be playing the control deck. He has a bunch of removal spells. See, Rolling Trembler.
Yeah. So that means that he can kill some of the smaller guys. But now at least he has a good answer to the Tetom's High Priest with a Chainer's Edict. That could have gotten Mark some decent value. So his creature's dying so far. Will Ignacio have an answer to a Wickerbow Elder, though?
Chainer's Edict actually gets better when you play 20 lands, because it makes it more likely that you get to the 7 mana for the flashback.
Frank, you're always you're kind of the silver linings kind of guy.
I'm warming up to Ignacio's deck bit by bit.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah.
There's a Reckless Worm for full retail at 5 mana. There's still Murderous Redcap, a Rolling Trembler, Soul's Fire in his hand. Hand is looking good now. It looks like he drew the really good part of his deck. But Hero of Lena Tower and Wingsteed Rider.
Well, Rolling Trembler only deals damage to creatures without flying. So it's not just like a Pyroclasm that would also mop up the Wingsteed Rider.
Yes.
But that Murderous Redcap is surely looking at that Wingsteed Rider as a juicy target.
Yep, but the problem might be if Mark has any sort of aura or effect now to use alongside the Hero of Lena Tower, then Ignacio might have a very tough time of dealing with a big creature in the long run.
Well, I guess Ignacio could always try to like first kill the Elder and then flashback the Chainer's Edict. That is a plan he has
Sure.
in case Mark loads up his hero with a bunch of auras.
We'll see.
Okay, very suspicious.
Very suspicious indeed.
I would not be blocking this hero, I don't think. I'm not sure what's coming. Probably God's willing.
Yeah,
but,
I was about to ask you what do you smell here? Because I smell a God's Will, but it's going to be actually a repel the darkness. It's gonna tap the Reckless Worm
nice.
and the Hero of Lane Tower after it has already attacked, of course. That's gonna trigger the heroic and 1/1 counters are going to be placed on the Hero of Lane Tower. This was a sweet play.
That was a sweet play indeed. Last game we saw, let's say, the typical use of Repel the Darkness, just tap down 2 blockers. Here, yeah, you also see that you can target your own heroic creatures for value.
Yeah, and it's a swing for 7 here. No blocks from Ignacio.
Ignacio could have blocked the Elder with the Murderous Redcap, and then when it persists back, it can shoot the final point of damage to the Elder.
If Ignacio had a land here, he could have done a cool play of attacking with his creatures, playing Rolling Tremble to kill his Redcap. That would finish off the Wickerbow Elder. But at least now he can still do Soul's Fire, killing the Hero of Lane Tower, and swing with his Redcap. So trying to stabilize the board in this way.
Ignacio will certainly try to get rid of that Elder before deploying his Cathodian to the board. As we saw in the previous game, you don't want to give your opponent an opportunity to kill your creature for free.
All right. 3 mana, Kitchen Finks.
Decent, but it seems like the Reckless Worm is holding the fort.
Yeah.
No good attacks for Mark.
Indeed. Ooh. Garna, I think, Ghoulsteed.
Yep.
Cathodian, Ignacio is doing it.
Well, it looks like he has all the tools this game to take it down.
Yeah.
So if he rolling Tremblers and both the Redcap and the Kitchen Finks would die on his own turn, then the Kitchen Finks returns before the Redcap would enter. So then the persisting Redcap can ping the Kitchen Finks for the final point of damage if it would come to that.
With 4 mana, another Wickerbow Elder.
Certainly not deploying that Cathodian now.
Yep, indeed. Here come the lands.
Yeah.
And as we talked about, Ignacio Garcia is playing 20 lands in his deck.
So Rolling Trampler has flashback 6. So if you go up to, 9 mana total, you can
Silver Linings.
cast it and then flash it back on the same turn.
Kill all your guys.
Yeah, clear the board.
Yeah, a little ambitious here, but Ignacio might want to attack with his 4/4s here.
If he attacks with the Ghoulsteed, then an obvious play would be to double block it, but that plays right into the possibility of an instant speed removal spell, or in this case even Garna the Blood Flame. That
So
can return
what everything does Garna do here?
So Garna is a 3/3 for 5 mana with flash. It gives other creatures you control haste, and importantly, when it enters the battlefield, you get to return to your hand all creature cards in your graveyard that were put there from anywhere this turn.
So, like now, if the Reckless Worm kills one of the creatures, Ignacio could play the Garna, and he would return the Reckless Worm to his hand. So.
Correct. Yeah. Then you are playing a creature with flash in your own turn, but
Sure.
that's the only way to get the benefit of the enters the battlefield trigger.
And now Ignacio's trying to figure out what he can do here. Theoretically, he could deal 3 to the first Wickerbow Elder, 1 to the second one, right? If he orders the blockers that way.
Right, and then cast the Rolling Trembler to deal 2 to every creature.
So he's okay. So Kitchen Finks is first. Okay.
Well, that seems weird.
Okay. Yeah. So Ignacio is going to deal 4 to Mark. Yeah, so he dealt 2 to Kitchen Finks that came back. 2 to Wickerbow Elder. But he can still, I guess, he can Trembler here and then bring back his Red Cabin and finish the whole board off.
This still works indeed.
Yeah, it works very nicely here. Yep, so those die, and then the Red Cape come back, pings the last Wickerbow Elder. Nice job, Ignacio Garcia.
Board is clear.
Yeah, he figured it out. Very nice. And the Cathodian still follow-up. His deck's firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, it can finally come down now that both of the elders have died.
All right, 4 mana. And
No!
another Wickabo
The
Elder.
third elder. Poor Cathodian.
I mean, he boarded it in. Like we were saying, like Mark Tobias surely saw the seismic assaults.
Yeah, that was the easiest cards to board in. Still, the fact that he drew all 3.
Yeah. So now situation's getting a little tougher for Ignacio, but he still has the Garna, and he certainly wouldn't mind his red cap dying here.
Yeah, then you actually get to return it as a proper red cap back to your hand. At this point, Mark will be wondering, well, what does this signify? But yeah, we'll see.
Yep, so 4 damage to Mark. Red cap dies. There's a Fiery Temper to finish off the Wickabo Elder. Yep, and just a Garner left in Ignacio's hand. Wandering Champion swings in for 3. It's a race between a horse and a man. I mean, it is a zombie horse, so.
My money is on the horse. They're typically faster.
Ooh, my money's also on a horse because it became a vampire as well.
Vampire horse.
Zombie horse. Vampire zombie horse.
Vampire zombie horse. So yeah, that was like a rotting horse on the deadly ground, and now it gained some vampiric powers. All right.
Yeah, the Wandering Champion is now a 4/4 trying to raise, but Lifelink is very difficult to raise.
And Garna it only gives other creatures haste.
Yep.
Doesn't have haste herself.
Ooh, 7 lands.
The Chainer's Edict.
Yeah, returns Conviction. Wandering Champion dies. If Mark Tobias. Nope, nothing. So we're going to get to see a game 3. Great curve from Ignacio Garcia there.
I have to actually imagine that Ignacio might be boarding out all of his Seismic Assaults at this point. Just since he saw 3 Wickerborer Elder as well as the Ronom Unicorn. Can't really rely on that enchantment anymore.
Sure, I mean, he still has the Cathodian that is a target that he probably doesn't want to board out. And like even sometimes you can play like towards the late game where you just play the Seismic Assault and maybe shoot something at some creatures to clear the way. Possibly like combining it with the Rolling Trembler that we saw.
All right, is this going to resolve? It does, and that's attacking with a 5/5 on turn 3 with Totem Armor protection. That's a very good start for Mark Tobias.
Yeah, he needs Chainer's. Ignacio needs Chainer's Edict. It doesn't look like he has just a Cathodian here. The Ronom Unicorn, like there was no last cap, no Chainer's Edict. It was a little bit of a risky play from Mark there, but fully rewarded with a. He wants to be the one with a big horse.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a unicorn, but.
Boar.
Boar unicorn. You know, it's a unicorn with the spirit of a boar. You know.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to meet that in a dark alley. But again, yeah, it would have been risky against Chainer's Edict, but no gods, no glory. It looked like Mark didn't really have other creatures to cast instead to protect himself from Chainer's Edict, and yeah, the attempt has paid off.
I mean, he has a Hyena Umbra in his hand. I think he also has Sky Spear Cavalry. Maybe he's holding up some sort of trig, and Ignacio might look to either play Moan of the Unhallowed and try to find some double block for the Ronin Unicorn.
That's a plan.
Yeah, but now I think Mark Tobias is just gonna slam the Hyena Umbra to give the Unicorn Boar first strike as well. Make it a Hyena as well.
Hyena, Unicorn, Boar. Man, and the Simic are not even in this set.
Yeah, but it's still a unicorn, but it just it has a. It just has the sense that I'm part of me is boar, part of me is hyena. And it's kind of like those funny pictures, like when you see cats being raised by dogs, so the cats then behave like the dogs. So for me, I think it's a similar situation.
So there's a unicorn that got raised by like a hyena as a dad and a boar as a mom or something.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, just a chump block there from the. I just imagine it's like sort of unicorn, that like goes around sniffing for truffles.
Yeah, I mean, he's unique, that's for sure. A real unicorn. So how can Ignacio get out of this?
Just race him.
It is a plan. It's probably the best plan he has. And I see a Brazen Scourge in hand.
Exactly.
3/3 haste.
Swing for 8. he has a red cap that he can keep blocking with. I would just maybe play red cap here, to take 2, swing for 5.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to trade for the unicorn, so indeed racing is the only realistic plan you have.
Okay, starts off with the ghoul steed though.
Yeah, I think I would have liked the red cap as well. Well, I guess this way you now have a big attacker for the next turn. You can chump block with the zombie token. And if Mark would play, say, a 1 or 2 toughness creature on the next turn, you can shoot that down with the red cap right away.
Sure.
So
yeah,
this is also fine.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Tobias, I think he does have a Sky Spiral Cavalry in hand, but he didn't want to expose it.
Yeah.
He might have something like Repel the Darkness in hand as well. Might want to set up one of the following. He does have a God's Willing. So that's he has a very tough decision here to do. He's going to play the Sky Spiral Cavalry. He won't have mana up for God's Willing. Doesn't even attack here.
Change of plans for Mark.
Yeah, but now this is actually might be decent for Mark just because like Ignacio cannot raise back. You know, just a huge unicorn in the way.
True.
And Ignacio has to deal with the Sky Spiral Cavalry. Well, of course, we do know that he does have a way to deal with it, and a good one at that in the Murderous Red Cap.
Yeah, it was definitely a good decision last turn to play the Ghoul Steed rather than the Murderous Red Cap, because if that Sky Spear Cavalry had lived, would have been in trouble.
And now another one, now with God's Willing backup.
Okay, trouble it is, because this threatens to close out the game in 3 attacks, while Mark is still like blocking with his unicorn.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Mark slam a Mammoth Umbra on the Sky Spiral Cavalry.
That is certainly a possibility. One play that Ignacio could make is to cast Undying Rage on the unicorn. Right, give it +2/+2, but making sure that it cannot block. If your only plan is to go for a race, well,
just
might be the best you can do.
He might figure he has a little bit more time. He could, because next turn he could potentially Brazen Scourge and then also Undying Rage.
And there it is. That's 5/5 double strike. Ignacio is at 10 with flying.
And protection with God's Willing at his disposal. Mark Tobias can move to 11 and 1. Yeah, that resolve. Attack for 10. There's the handshake. Mark Tobias 2 and 1. In the pod. He'll be very happy because I don't think he was too happy with how the draft went overall. But getting out with a 2-1 record, I think he'll be happy with that.
Yeah, and this game, his deck just came together in the way that he had planned. You know, the double striker, putting a +3/+3 enchantment on it. It's a game plan, and it worked out well.
Nice. All right, so we got more Magic ready for you. Look at that. Arne Huschenbett against Kazutaka Naide. We saw both players already in the feature match area. Arne Huschenbett is on a black-white Reanimator-ish deck, and Kazutaka Naide is on a red-white aggressive deck.
Yeah, the highlights in Arne's deck are Unburial Rites, where the best creature to reanimate is Angel of Despair, along with Entomb for consistency. He also has a trio of Icatian Criers, which can fill the board with 1/1 tokens.
Yeah, just the Crow of Dark Tidings on turn 3 here. We know I already saw Arne has a Icatian Crier in his hand too. So let's see if Kazutaka no land before combat. Swing right away. Try to trade there. So mill 2 more cards. Okay, Olmos Crusher.
That's what I would call an aggressive block. But with that I mean that Arne is clearly not going to try to enter a damage race. He is clearly on the plan of protecting his life total, and he believes that his late game is going to be better than his opponent's.
There's a Icatian Crier, so a 3-mana 1/1, very unassuming, but 2 mana you discard a card and you make 2 1/1s, and against creature decks you can create a big army in a can pretty fast. Block efficiently and potentially get some more value out of it. Looks like Kazutaka still no mountain, so just deploying his 2 drops here, a bunch more unicorns.
Right, so is it Ulamog's Crusher time? No Unburial Rites, no Entomb, no nonsense.
Just yet. Yeah, slow draw, but now the Crier can get to work, and this might even scare Kazutaka, right? At 5 mana, I've seen plenty of times where the Icatian Crier brought the Twins of Moor Estate together with 2 1/1s. There's a Grave Scrabbler.
Yeah, I think that is the only Madness card that Arne has in his deck.
Picks up the Crow.
Value?
Very much so. He's probably looking to mill the Unburial Rites that we talked about. He's going to get 2 Citizens, and now he'll get to do some nice trades if he wants them to.
Yeah, this is a sweet combo, the Crier with Grave Scrabbler. That's a lot of card advantage in a single activation.
Yeah, and it looks like Arne is just trying to go for the card advantage here. You know what else? What else he has? He could also play Emancipation Angel and return the Grave Scrabbler to his hand.
Just keep going.
Just keep going, yeah. So God's Willing protects the Rono Unicorn from the 2/1/1s. It's the 2 damage dealt to Arne, but he now has finally settled the board. And as long as Kazutaka Naida is not deploying more threats to the board, Arne is in good shape. And he also drew a Fate's Fetters now. Not the greatest against double Rono Unicorn, but it is something.
It will still gain 4 life. Now, Naide is still looking for his second color. His draw has not really come together very nicely.
There's the Crow, Mills Crier, Mills Slum Reaper.
Still no Unburial Rites in sight. But at this point, Arne might just be able to win on the back of Icatian Crier alone.
There's a mountain, though.
I was going to say, unless Naida finds the mountain and starts actually casting the cards in his hand. Well, we do have a game. All right. Attacking with both seems at least somewhat natural. What does he have in hand? I think I spot a Soul's Fire
Indeed,
in there.
Mammoth, Mammoth Umbra, I think.
Yeah, and Sky Spear Cavalry.
Hyena Umbra as well, I think. I think he had double Mammoth Umbra. That's big game, but you want to put it on the fire so that the Icatian Cry doesn't just block it forever and ever. End of turn. All right. Discards Ulamog Crusher, makes 2 more 1/1s. Just a swamp for Arne there. I think we might see some Grave Scrabbler shenanigans soon enough.
So Naida is basically on the plan that we saw Mark Tobias execute the previous game. Put on Sky Spear Cavalry, enchant it with the Mammoth Umbra, and then swing in with a 5/5 double striking flyer. He does need, well, first of all, to find a 5th land to do that, and second of all, hope that Arne does not have a removal spell to deal with it. But it is a game plan.
There's a block on the Grave Scrabbler. That resolves. And Naida down to 16 here from the Crow of Dark Tidings. And we might see Arne actually buying back the Crow of Dark Tidings maybe to replay it again to mill some more cards. Or alternatively, Arne can also maybe return a land to his hand and discard it to the Icatian Cry. He has plenty of options.
No.
But a 3/3 flyer is something that I think he wants to play here.
You don't want to keep adding to the board. If you're in Arne's seat, it's clear that Naida has all spells in hand.
Ooh,
so you don't want to give him too much time.
Interesting. He might be planning something else. I don't quite see his hand. He's flicking through his cards as if his last name was Kibler. He's being patient though. No rush. Because Kazutaka Naida still, I don't think he has a 5th land and just passes here. Wow. All right, more 1/1s. Discarding a swamp here. This might actually just prompt Arne to just swing every turn.
Yeah, I think that is perfectly fine over here.
All right, Slum Reaper now.
No, that makes the all-out attack even easier.
Yep. That's going to mean that there still might be a Soul's Fire to try to kill something here, but at least it's going to get rid of the Unicorn. And very importantly for Arne, it will unlock the Fate's Feathers that he has in his hand, so no more annoying Unicorns. If Kazutaka even plays the Sky Spear Cavalry, Arne can just untap into Fate's Feathers, right?
Yep.
So that was a big swing.
Naida needs to find the 5th land first.
He does.
That's part 1 of the plan. But yeah, that Fate Feather seems very appealing. Not only do you take out the possibility of a big attack, but you also get to get in for 6 damage total. Then I'm not sure how Naida can come back from that. Not against this board. Like, his deck does not really contain the rolling Tremblers that we saw in the previous game. You typically don't want to play sweepers in your aggro deck. Naida does have many copies of God's Willing in his deck. Arne also knows about that. And if you cast God's Willing on a creature that's enchanted by Fate's Feathers, the Fate's Feathers will fall off.
True.
That said, yeah, Naida is still going to face perhaps as many as 7 attackers on the next turn.
Jeez, yeah, that's a lot of damage. Yeah, especially now Arne kept back the Icatian Crier. So that clearly signals that there's going to be more citizens coming along.
Yep. Yeah, it seems like Naida just took too long to find his 5th land. Just stalling on mana for a bit too long. Even though Arne never got to assemble his reanimation strategy. Right, there's multiple Ulomax Crushers in the graveyard, but no reanimate spell in sight. It still wasn't going to be good enough. Well, there we see the Gods Willing to give it protection from white.
Yeah, but what will happen now? He can't play that.
That is not a legal play because it has currently protection from white.
And also it doesn't have vigilance, right? The Umbra gives first strike, not vigilance. It also, this is an illegal play, but it's already Time Walk Magic, so we can't really rewind. Remember, the Sky Spirit Cavalry got protection from white, so I think it's unlikely to matter here.
Yeah, this should be a lethal attack one way or another, so it shouldn't affect the outcome.
Yep. All right, so game 1 to Arne Huschenbeth, who's chasing a GP toppe here, just like his opponent. But Arne up a game here, the Gold Pro from Germany. And let's see what he can string together in game 2, because his game 1 wasn't actually that impressive. It was just Kazutaka just really stumbling on mana and not really developing his board.
Yes, Arne's game plan never really got together. He generated some value with the Icatian Crier and Grave Scrabbler. Was nice, but didn't really find any of the signature reanimation spells from his deck.
Yeah, so Cathodian gets dealt with the last gasp, so that's slowing down the pain from Kazutaka, who again doesn't have a mountain in his hand. Just attacking with a save hold delete. We know that this Bloodflow Connoisseur can be very, very powerful out of Arne's deck, because we saw all those Icatian Criers, and he potentially has some Fiend Hunter synergies as well.
Yep. Yeah, with Fiend Hunter, that's like worded in the old way, where if you sacrifice it in response to the end of the battlefield trigger, the creature that would be targeted would be, let's say, exiled forever.
Yeah, so Chainer's Edict on a save hold delete is certainly not where you want to be. No. But at least now Arne can trade it off with the Bloodflow Connoisseur.
He traded a Safe Hold Elite for a Chainer's Edict and a Bloodflow Connoisseur.
Yep.
Naida will be quite happy with that exchange.
Especially now that the Sky Spirit Cavalry is in play and Kazutaka Naida has the Hyena Umbra in hand. And now Arne is actually thinking. He has an Entomb in his hand. He's trying to figure out, what am I going to draw here? Just a bunch of lands.
So key cards that he can entomb are either Angel of Despair, if he already has Unburial Rites in hand, or Unburial Rites itself if you have some heavy hitter in the graveyard. However, returning a Bloodflow Connoisseur to the graveyard with Unburial Rites, not exactly what you were hoping to do.
So what is Naida going to do here? Just an attack, no Umbras or anything. Maybe he's scared of some removal spells, doesn't want to maybe tap out for a Mammoth Umbra.
I mean, I would be against 5 untapped mana. What could Arne have? Now, one more land and Arne can flashback Chainer's Edict. So you certainly don't want to be like loading up your creature with Umbras, because Totem Armor does not protect you from sacrifice.
Indeed. All right, so we this is Time of Magic. We can't really finish the game off because we already have a draft lineup. So I can tell you what happened here. Arne Huschenbeth actually lost this game. It went to 1-1, and then in game 3, Arne just really quickly demolished, put out a very fast Ulomax Crusher, and just annihilated his opponent to death. So that means that Arne is now on 11-1, and he's going to be drafting in Pod 1 alongside the undefeated Pascal Wieren. See you with drafts very soon.